Well, hi there, racing fans, and welcome to another edition of Winning Ways, where we've got a fabulous program in store for you because we have a very important visitor to our shores. His name is Bradford Smith. Now, for those of you who don't know Bradford Smith, and most of you won't, he's been the course manager at Qatar Racing for the last 20 years. But he did cut his teeth at Randkiesfontein. He started there as a course manager when we started Randkiesfontein. So it's a very interesting story of how a man has made an immense success out of something that he knew absolutely nothing about when I met him. He was a jockey when I met him and we started, and he really is an inspiration and a very good example to all. Left, you know Bradford Smith?
Yeah, good guy.
Yeah. Well, he's flying in. He's on holiday at the moment. It's their off season. They're not racing. And he's got an interesting story to tell.
Yeah,
It will be interesting. Some nice pictures. He's shown us how he started this place. You must see what it was, what a mess it was.
I'd like to go and see it.
Yeah, and what it is today.
He's Qatar.
Yeah.
They're the ones who send the appies out.
The jewel of the East.
I'd really like to go and see it.
Yeah.
Jim,
Anyway.
but you're a bit cock-a-hoop.
Cock-a-hoop, of course.
Yeah, last one standing, all your bets went on Arsenal, your favourite team.
I put the head down, you know. don't stop. And gee, did that give me 90 minutes of agony?
Agony,
I mean,
yeah. Everything's agony. If you think that was agony, I'm coming back from a heart problem. I have to watch Spurs play Man City. It was men against boys.
Of course it was, but you got away with a draw.
We got away with a draw.
You should have been partying for a week, I'm telling you.
No, it wasn't. We thought we'd lost it. City
How was
thought they'd
VAR?
won it. Tottenham pulled it back.
You like
nothing in
VAR?
the middle, nothing in attack.
Do you like
VAR, like one guy said to me, VAR is our friend. He's not, it's a relative now.
Yeah.
He's saved us 3 times, VAR. But it works. It'll level out over the year. If the ball hits your hand and changes direction, then it's got to be...
What happens if it hits your hand and doesn't change direction?
I don't know, it does. If the guy hits it and bounces back, and it's a penalty. They're getting very strict on the box, James. But, you know, James, after watching the game, most people watch their game, I think Man City are the best side in the world. Not the best in England, the best side in the world. We've gone against the Barcelonas, the Real Madrids, all of them, and we've given as good as we've got. We got completely roasted. 30 attempts plays 3, and
But you were the away side.
we were. But, James, a week ago, we had 31 attempts against Aston Villa, and we were told we got out of jail. Where do you get the balance? We got roasted. Man City are way better than us. They're way better than any team in the league. Their bench is so strong. They just keep the ball. They hustle you off. We couldn't
Did you
get the
see
ball.
what Mourinho had to say?
Yeah, I saw it.
What did he say? Top
Top
4.
4. Who can win the league?
Yeah.
He said Man City, Liverpool, Spurs, and Man City beat him.
That's classic. Mourinho is still making
But
nonsense.
Jim, you've got to be happy. Your team have won. Liverpool should not have gone through.
Yeah.
Ings missed a complete sitter to make it a draw. They didn't play well. Maybe the midweek, I think Chelsea...
Took a lot out of them.
And Chelsea as well. Chelsea were
looked
getting
jaded.
roasted late by Leicester. So maybe that extra game, playing 120 minutes, might have taken it out there. But again, it's very interesting, James, because we'll see what happens tonight.
Who's top of the league?
Who's top? Arsenal, maybe?
Arsenal, Liverpool.
Also, it depends on goal race. Man United just
They're
have
the
to win
same
tonight to go top. It
Yeah.
was 1-0, but they've got to play Wolves. And
They'll beat Wolves.
they're playing the
easily.
Portuguese.
That's a bet of the week. You can back Man
Wolves
United.
are called Portuguese B team.
Yeah. Okay, they'll beat them. I mean, that's a certainty. What else? Rugby. The rugby was fascinating.
Fascinating, disappointing. I'm talking the game where the Springboks played Argentina. I know both teams are experimenting.
Played his C team.
Yeah, it was his C team because that fly half's not going to make it for me. But he'll travel.
But he kicked a very important kick at the end. He has got nerves of steel, that boy.
He should be after 43 caps, which he deserved.
Yeah,
Not
but he
point
does.
for.
You know, when he need him to kick one, I remember he kicked one inside the 10-meter, outside the 10-meter line to win us a Test match in England. I think it was. He kicked it over right through the middle of the post, and that I like in him. I think Jankies.
Pollard's a street ahead of him.
Pollard's number 1.
Yeah.
Okay, but I would take Jankies as your number 2. I think he's.
I think he's
Who else are you going to
absolutely
take?
rubbish.
And you can't play Stain. Stain's got to play in centre. Our centres are rubbish. I mean, they are.
You know, but
useless.
Jim, there's always disputes and opinions, and you know, I think we've looked so good after going and walloping the Wallabies. which could have been closer. They had 2 disallowed. Drawing with the All Blacks, thumping Argentina away, and then this performance.
But it really, when you looked at the team, between this team and the team that ran out against the All Blacks, it was a whole different team. And I was very impressed with the Natal winger. I mean, of course, that boy can play. Those 2 tries were outstanding.
He'll go into the starting lineup, no doubts
I
about
hope.
that.
Well, they say that Deante's not going to make it, and Warren Whiteley's not going to make it. They say they're both injury problems, and then this guy, Sabu, of course, he will get in the side. Ashes, how was that for a 3.5-day test match?
Yeah, they made it interesting.
It was gripping to the end.
Yeah, it was very interesting. They saved themselves by 4 wickets.
Who saved them?
Well, the Aussies, they had 4 wickets to go.
Don't talk rubbish, man. No Aussie saved them. Labuschagne is an Aussie name.
Oh, yeah, Labuschagne.
Labuschagne.
You see him catch one on the pip.
Labuschagne. Okay.
Sure.
Oh, sorry, Labuskachny.
Whatever they call him. He caught one right on the pip, the same as they got Smith. No. That bowler, boom, dropped it short, caught him, and he didn't.
He saved them. He made 59 runs.
Yeah, 59.
They're lucky they got some South Africans.
Yeah, but still, well, both teams. Both teams have got South Africans in them, Yeah, so Jim, that was the sport. No, Marky Marquez didn't ride this week.
No, Marky Marquez wasn't riding. The thing I must mention to you is that the BMW was the second leg of the Tour Championship, the playoffs, okay, where they cut down from 125 to 70 to 30. And Justin Thomas shot 61, a course record in the 3rd round. I mean, it was the most
where was it played?
It's played in
Texas?
Illinois.
Illinois.
Yeah, and it's a very, very famous golf course. For the moment, I can't remember it. But it's one of those golf courses that, because there was a bit of rain and it softened the greens, it allowed them to shoot scores. Everyone was shooting under par, which was amazing.
Did Tiger play?
Tiger played. I think he made it into the Tour playoffs, into the final.
Well done.
Which is great. He shot level par the last round. I think Louis Oosthuizen's in of the South African zone only, Louis. But it will be interesting because it's this weekend, the Tour Championship final, and the FedEx Cup winner gets $10 million. So whoever wins it gets 10 bar in dollars.
Okay.
So that's the start. I think we've now told you everything that you need to know about the sport, and we can move on and see 3 to follow. Right, let's go and have a look at our 3 to follow, and we start off at Greyville on Wednesday. They raced on the turf, which was nice to see, and it was fabulous racing. And we picked up a horse called Royal View, Wendy Whitehead trained, daughter of Twice Over. She'd done a very good barrier, this filly, and just greenness got her beaten here. I think she's quite a nice filly. Let's go pick her up.
Yeah, let's go pick her up. Here we go. She's in the green. She's well drawn, and she finishes 3rd. Stu Randolph riding, and she gets out very well. She's got a lot of speed there. Duchess Lane shows speed. Dancing Princess. Frank's Petal is in the red cap coming over to make the speed, but Stu's got this in the box seat, and I thought, as you say, a bit keen for a strider to
Well, that's the thing. She doesn't really settle, and even there, she's still got head up, and she's giving Stewie a hard time, and she just keeps on plugging on at them in the straight, you'll see. But an even-tempoed pace, the winner's on her outside, and that had the experience. But this filly will go on. She's out of a Casey Tibbs mare, bred by Claver Flame, owned by a nice bunch of people, lucky owners and nice people. So let's hope she goes and wins them a race or two. Yeah, she quickens up.
Duchess Lane wins the race. It's a very tight race. Our horse is on the outside. Bintel Malak, James, just came from draw 13, which killed it. Everything else was drawn in double figures, got beat 10 lengths. So it was a good run.
We can back it next time.
Well, we just got to get a draw. Loves Greyville's never missed a check at Greyville. But the winner's sticking to her task well for Tony Rivlin, who's bang on form. And the debutant, Royal View, runs very well.
Yeah, your filly does run on well. I think that was a pretty good run. So there are a couple that we can pick up out of that replay, and that's the beauty of watching replays, and we'll tell you the beauty of watching barrier trials as well later on in the show. But let's go and see the second one that we picked up was at the Vol, 1,500 meters, Thunderjet. Marchfield looks like he'll stay all day. very impressive run. Let's go and pick him up at the start.
Yeah, you'll see it there in trap 11, Thunder Jet, and walks out the gate, hasn't got much idea what's going on. And Calvin Habib drops it out to last because there's speed in the race. Barricade initially, but Mr. Jackson, opening gambit, they're all getting at the race. And this horse has been covered up nicely, the Thunder Jet, the Marchfield. Alec Laird trains it, and Calvin Habib rides it, and he gives it a real patient ride because they're going quickly, and I think Mr. Jackson's out in front, but he compounds. And James, this horse runs a cracking good race.
Cracking good race because he's out of a national emblem mare, so there should be a little bit of speed there, bred by Fastfontein, and he's right on the fence at the back there in the yellow cap. He was bought from the Fastfontein draft. Obviously a nice-looking horse, taking a bit of time to mature. But you'll see that Calvin Habib, I think he's an exceptional rider, this kid. He'll end up making it to the top. He's very dedicated. He just keeps the horse balanced and moves out. First timer, give it a chance. Let it see what it can run at,
Yeah.
And he pulls it right out to the outsides without losing too much ground. Nice balanced ride. The winner, Claudie Walker's
Claudie
horse,
Walker, I think he had a double on the day, Claudie.
good for him. I mean, he's a super guy, and came back into the training ranks recently, a couple of years ago, and trains for himself basically. But he was a good jockey, Claudie Walker.
There we go.
And here you go, just getting beat at the death.
Oh, good debut.
Just not getting there. But he'll get a bit of ground, this horse.
Yeah,
And
no
definitely, I think that you're looking for a bit further than that. Alec Laird's horses improve from the run.
They do.
I'd expect this debut to improve. Right, we move on to the third one, and this was a very impressive winner. Talon, Tall In, maybe is its name.
I think they call it Talon.
They call it Talon. I think it's Tall In. Versant Jet Rex, out of a Pivotal mare. Bred by Main Chance and owned by Mike de Kock's previous big owner, Al Adiat, South Africa. This was a good win, and the best part about this win was Callan Murray is back from his travels. He was in Hong Kong and then he was in Singapore. And I was chatting to him on Friday at Mike's stables, and he's here for a year. He's looking to move to Australia. But he's a talent, this boy, and nice to see him leg up his first ride, I think, in South Africa, on this horse for his old team, Mike de Kock. And he gave it a very polished ride.
I think they gave him 2 winners in the day, yeah. Very good. Yeah, let's have a look at this horse. The talk was that it had a lot of ability, and reading between the lines, Matthew really liked this horse, Jim.
Yeah, so let's go and pick him up at the start. Drawn 2, first time he does everything right, Callan Murray.
Yeah, he gets him into the race, which is what you want from that good draw. And he gets himself into the box seat, which is a terrific riding. You know, Inside Politics decides to make it hot, and Quick Sticks gets itself into second. And then Callum's just sitting on this horse, Talon. And you'll see Jim, he's just looking for a gap when they turn for home. The Danger, I think, runs fourth, which was Orchid's, runs second.
Yeah, Orchid Street.
Fourth, yeah.
That's
runs a
fourth
very
at
good
the
race
moment,
too.
Orchid
Yeah,
Street. It's
that's
just
right.
behind them. And it's a progressive maiden. It's shown that it's got some ability. But Talon just following the front horses. As I said, Main Chance bred. Pivotal mare. My goodness, I saw 2 Pivotal mares ran second and third in a Group 1 over the weekend in France. We'll talk about that later. But here you go. Quickens up
beautifully. He goes past the leader, Inside Politics, and it's the Danger. Muzi's hard at work on Orchid Street, but he's never going to lose this horse. You know, it's focused on winning.
But yeah, and just keeps her running. She's a filly that might be better over more ground than this. 1200 seems on the sharp side. You'd expect her to mature and grow into a nice filly. And she's obviously shown them quite a lot of good work. So I would have thought that she's one that we definitely
need to follow.
Yeah. We're going to have a look at Where Are They Now. We've got a very interesting character coming in Where Are They Now. Let's go and see what we've got to say.
How old is McGivern?
Hello, I'm Patrick McGivern. I'm sitting here with James Goodman at the Wild Coast Sun after a fantastic golf tournament. I'm one of the elder statesmen, I guess, now. I started my career in Durban in 1967, served my first years of apprenticeship with Felix Coetzee's father, Henny Coetzee.
Okay.
Subsequent to that, I moved down to Cape Town, where I originated from. I was in the Jockey Academy there until 1972. I served under Heine Schultz first, but sadly he died after 6 months. Then I moved on to Leslie Corkett and learned my trade under the tutorship of the great Johnny Corkett, one of South Africa's greatest ever jockeys, I believe.
If you've been involved in horse racing in South Africa but have either moved away, immigrated or retired, we want to hear from you. Send us a short 30-second video recording on WhatsApp and we'll flight it on the show. Clips can be sent to either James on 071 588 5769 or Paul on 083 779 1311. We look forward to hearing from you.
Well, we'd like some more clips. If any of you out there would like to let us know where you are, please send us a clip of yourself. As you've seen us for weeks now. It's very interesting. And Patrick McGiven is the most interesting man. He's an absolute ringer on the golf course. He's as good as anyone. Him and Kenny Michelle are bandits. We've had them both on the show. But Patrick was, I think he was most famous for all the years he spent with Mike Bass. He was with the Bass team for many, many years, and they had...
He was a very good jockey.
Very, very good jockey. And I think Mike probably started Sweet Chestnut was the first real good filly that he had for Georgina Kramer, Georgina Rogers. And then there were many, many good horses that they had. Counteraction and all those type of horses. I think Paddy rode a lot of those horses. He was certainly there for a long, long time.
Yeah.
A hell of a jockey.
Nice guy.
Lovely guy, lives in the house across from Milnerton Golf Course, and that's been in the family forever.
So he plays a bit of this, eh?
And he can play golf, and he loves playing golf, and he's a really, really entertaining man.
I hope he had a good tournament, so we'll see him there next year.
Oh yeah, he had fun. Yeah, he's not good enough to win.
Cheersy.
Kevin Shea won the championship. I mean, I'm still in a state of shock. You can see the blood drains out my face when I think about Kevin Shea. Anyway, let's go and see what the plum of the week is.
Uh, 400 metres to go, Despicable in front. He's got a 2-length advantage. Trying to close in, Lord Carrow towards the inside, Duran. Also trying to run on, Great to be Captain. The favourite, Despicable's clear coming to the 150. And Despicable by 2 to 3 lengths out here. Stuart Randolph and Despicable, the talk of the town. He's bounded away to win by 3. Second spot, maybe Lord Carrow in a photo with Great to be Captain. Brooklyn's on the inside.
Well, if I had my way in racing, there would be barrier trials before any horse ran. You'd get your starting certificate, your barrier trial. You'd have to do away with all the starting certificates at the training centres, because this is the reason why racing should be transparent.
And this is why the reason people back this horse, Jim, from the trial.
Only for the barrier trial. If this horse hadn't
trial.
run in a barrier trial, no one would have known. He would have walked into the parade ring.
Unraced 4-year-old.
Yeah. Absolutely. Walked in the parade ring, bandages on, no one knows anything. He barrier trialed with bandages. He showed that he's got an impeccable action. Mary Liley said she's named him after me.
Yes.
He's Barvar out of bred by Main Chance. And Interbet I do a podcast for them. I said best bet of the day, only because I'd seen the barrier trial.
Yes.
Tony Riverland backed it up in his pre-race comments on the horse.
His post-race comments too. Eh?
Post-race comments, but the thing is that he told everyone
this
good run was a standout. And I get back to the point. You could have got 22-10 on Interbet, 5-2 on Interbet at the beginning. It shortened into odds on, and at the death you could have got 15-10 on Interbet. So it was a very, very nice start to the Sunday. And I come back to the point, and I don't want to harbor it, but if I was in charge of racing, it would be one of the things that would happen.
It helps. South Africa. A lot of people say barrier trials, they finish up to get. It shows you which horses can't win as well. Some are so far back.
Point.
People all over the world look and say, I want to see my horse barrier trial.
Exactly.
I can't get there.
If you have a consistent surface like we're lucky enough to have here at the on the poly track, times make a huge difference.
Yeah.
You see horses that run good times. Now, the interesting thing was that the joint favourite, or the other horse backed in the race, barrier trialled as well on the same day and did the same time as this horse did.
Well, the winner did.
Okay, so now if you watch the two barrier trials, the other horse was actually pushed out.
Yeah.
He was kept at his work.
Reading
This
barrier
horse
trials is
canted,
the key. You don't miss them, James. You don't miss barrier trials. You look at them in the ring, you comment, you write notes. You've got notes on all of them.
The best thing that could happen to racing. And really, that's one of the things that I would do.
So that was your plum.
Put me in charge of this lot, that's what would happen. Anyway, I'm getting too old now and senile to do anything except carry on with winning ways. In fact, who knows how long we'll carry on with that.
You're still waffling.
Yeah, we're waffling along. We're going to take a break and we'll be back with current affairs.
Whenever anyone asks me for a shrewd tip, my first response is always to tell them, open an Interbet account. That's the biggest certainty that I can give any punter with total confidence. Not only is it a good business, but it is interactive, exciting, and great entertainment as well. My name is Snowy Brown. I'm a sports fanatic, and I'm all about sports betting because of the unpredictability, the enjoyment of the team being the underdog and finishing first, or a team scoring the winning goal in the last seconds of a match to be the victors. The beauty about this is that if I'm betting on the soccer, I can use in-play betting, which allows me to bet across multiple areas of the game. Knowing I have full control of my betting spread and where my money goes gives me satisfaction that Interbet has given me the power to control my bets. In my opinion, Interbet were the pioneers of online and Mobi betting in South Africa and will continue to lead the way. Interbet, where the professionals bet.
Right, welcome to Current Affairs, where we're going to go through what's been happening around the world. No races, stakes races around the country. But we've got news from all over the place. And a bit of news we got, James, from Jeff Lloyd. His son Jaden had his first ride.
Yeah, very nice to see him. He rode a horse that had a bit of form.
Yeah.
And for the old team, Toby Edmonds, who was Jeff's governor there. And just talking about Australian jockeys, well, Jaden started. Brandon Larena has arrived in Australia and had the first ride was a winner.
Very good.
Very nice for Brandon.
Yeah.
And, they've all gone. They've gone off to Australia. We've lost a lot of jockeys there. I saw Sean Cormack ride a tremendous race on a horse to win.
There's Sean, there's
Sunshine
Roy
Coast.
Fred, there's the Schofields, there's Chrissy Taylor, Byron Bortis is there now, Callum Murray's looking good. Sorry, Byron Forster, thank you very much. Byron Bortis is still here. But just getting back to the young Jaden, he was a little disappointed, ran 8 to 15, but it was his first run, it was drawn 9 to 15, Jeff said. So good education, good to get him going, you know, so I'm pleased for that.
And then the next one coming up is Zach. So it's going to be a whole Lloyd dynasty. Going to be a bunch of those Lloyds. And with Jeff as their manager.
Yeah, that's right.
Can you imagine? Jeff's going to be the manager of.
Gee, when he rode, they were like his managers. You know, clued up, they were on form. I sat with Jaden and Zach one day. They knew every horse in the race where it was positioned, where we were supposed to be. They're very clued up. Jeff's taught them to do their homework, you know.
Exactly. Okay, well, great to see them. We still consider them one of our kin, and that's what it's all about, because we're very proud of our South Africans. Even Lover Shane, who played for the Australian.
Or the Aussies, for the Aussies. James, you know, at Caulfield Racecourse, they put up a statue of Black Caviar now. They might even have a Moody with it. But just showing they support their heroes.
Yeah, well,
she was unbeaten, and you couldn't beat her. She went overseas and won at Ascot. But they said, you know, if you go racing, you'll see a photo of the greats, which is fantastic.
I think it's great, tremendous. The trouble is that our racecourses get sold before they can put up a statue.
Yeah, we've had good ones.
Oh, okay, we kept a couple. Okay, what else we got? 10 weeks to the Breeders' Cup.
Is that all?
Only 10 weeks to the Breeders' Cup.
We must start finding out which UK horses are going.
Well, it's
the big ones we know, you know,
interesting.
Nables and all those, you know, but...
and then they've got the Travers this weekend, which is the big stepping stone to the Breeders' Cup at Saratoga. I've been watching a bit of the Saratoga racing, fabulous racing.
It is great racing.
Really good racing. I was actually looking at the card. It's so interesting how different they are to us. The card for Sunday's meeting had 5 claiming races, 2 maiden special weights, okay? So those
claiming races, James, sorry to interrupt you. Claiming races are massive.
Massive, yeah.
And James, they work.
That's another thing I'd do.
Yeah, I would do straight away. I'd have claiming races in this country as well, but they tinkered with it last time and they got it wrong.
Yeah, but they got it wrong. The whole concept was wrong.
The whole concept was wrong.
Claiming race is a claiming race.
A claiming race. You go and you claim that horse, and then
you wait at your claim. That's
you
what
wait,
you do.
it's correct.
So you actually do your own handicapping. As a trainer, you handicap the horse.
And the better horses go in higher claimers.
Well, the point is that you can put a better horse in with a lower weight if you want to, but someone's going to claim it from you.
Yeah, that's right. You think I can get the money, I can win the stake money and hope I don't get claimed. Doesn't happen. But it helps you move horses. Owners can say, listen, this horse isn't doing too much. Put it back. Gives everyone a chance. You know, James, when we did it, even with the hybrid system we used here, James, we had Guy Rickson put a horse on. The late Guy Rickson put a horse on. Herman Brown, Bamboo Brown bought it. Won a Group 1.
No.
I think he paid, if I'm not mistaken, 4,000. Won a Group 1. So they've got to start looking at claiming races. It's very
well, I think it's something that would inject some interest in the whole thing. There's no doubt about it, you know. But the trouble with it is that, you know, would the trainers support it?
They would support it in heaps, James, because we've got so many horses at the bottom.
Let me tell you, there's some trainers that don't want to get rid of horses. It's Alcatraz.
Alcatraz, but James, it gives the owner a bit of say as well. He can say, listen, if we're not earning money, we haven't picked up a check in 8 months.
Let's go.
Let's go and try to pick up a check in the lower ranks, you know?
Yeah. Okay, well, what else is there? That's American racing.
I've got a debatable point with you if you want to just talk about it.
Make it quick, okay. We've got Bradford Smith.
We've got plenty of time. There was an Australian commission into unethical and, what was the word they used, is unlawful practices at sales. And what happened was a memo was given to the Racing Post in the UK telling them about what's going on. Everybody's getting handled. And
how are they getting handled?
Horses going at the ring, been bought before, and profits been taken on. And let me put my specs on because Australia said that they are transparent, well government, and no need for an overhaul. They believe it now. The UK counterparts came under fire due to alleged unscrupulous practices. In UK, a memo was leaked to Racing Post saying that many UK participants had been victim of unethical behaviour, including improper inducements and payments. Now, I know it happens. You know it happens. You train for years. The Aussies are saying, What a god! You know, Heads, there's a group called the Federation of Bloodstock Agents in Australia.
Yes.
Of which there's 29 of them.
Yes, correct.
If you fall foul,
Yeah.
you're gone.
Yes.
Now, do you know who's the president? One Grant Burns, our boy.
Our boy Granty.
Our
Well
boy
done.
Granty Burns, he is the president, and
That's why they don't have any problem.
they don't have any. What he says, listen, we never know what happens behind closed doors and what happens with breeders and buyers, but they have got their decision that you're an agent, you go out and get your 10% or whatever it is. These guys doing deals and that, they're going to turf them out of the industry, and they believe, Australia, that they're very clean. Very
Well,
clean.
I think that they're probably
I
right.
probably are right, you
We've-
know.
We've attended Australian sales forever.
Ever.
You go to a sale, you don't, you never. I buy from a stud like Barrowmold,
Yes,
which is
yes.
Yeah, those horses go in the ring.
That's if you
If they
don't.
put a reserve on them, they put a reserve
Yeah.
on them. That's a reserve price. They don't bid them to the reserve,
No.
and you can see it afterwards.
Yes.
25,000 the horse got not sold in the ring for, and the reserve was 50.
Yes.
Here you see the horse goes to reserve
49.
is 50,000 and goes 49. So
Yeah.
what's going on? You know?
Yeah, no,
That's-
you can see it. It's.
That's the difference.
I agree with you. You're 100% right. You hit the nail on the head, James. We've seen it, and I've sat in arenas and watched horses being bid at and bid for, and I've sat with people who want to buy, and they're saying, "Gee, it's going quickly." I said, "They're running this up to the reserve.
Yeah, exactly. So
That's
don't
the
even
deal.
get involved.
Don't get involved. Let them have it at that. If they don't get it, speak to them afterwards." No, you shouldn't have that. The UK have taken a lot of flack.
As far as the rules are concerned, the auctioneer's rules, I mean, as far as an auction house's rules is concerned, it's not allowed. Remember the trouble that firm got into in the Cape for running up house sales. They were doing farm sales and that.
Yes.
They got into huge trouble
I saw it
for
in
this,
Carte
for running
Blanche.
out. Yeah, it was on Carte Blanche. So it is a problem, but
It
I
is a
think
problem.
it's
It's
a problem I
something-
don't know that our sales companies are going to address. So let's move on.
Well, listen, let's hope that we all know that when we go into sales, we're getting a fair deal. Nothing unscrupulous is happening. And I'm pleased to say that it's become an issue. And our mate Burnsy, who I speak to a lot, he heads them and he says, if you found to do a deal that's not sort of above 10% or not right, you're turfed. 29 of them, they've got 29.
Okay.
Okay, Jim.
Arcano, talking about sales, they had
Yeah.
the big sale of the weekend, and Sheikh Mohammed was there for the first time in 15 years. He bought the top price Dabawi with Anthony Stroud, filly for Godolphin, 1.625 million euros.
Fantastic. Dubai,
It's
sensation.
a lot of money.
True.
Yeah. And then the top price colt was 1.5 million euros, bought by the Japanese,
The Galileo.
Galileo. Average 290,000 euro.
Okay.
And they were up 24%, which is quite phenomenal. There was big racing in France as well, which there always is.
There always is
the
this time,
Arcana
yeah,
weekend. And the Prix Jean Romanet is the biggest race there. It was won by Coronet, who's by Dabawi, trained by John Gosden, ridden by Frankie. I think it was Frankie's 13th Group 1 winner this season. And we're not even 3/4 of the way through the season. So there you go. Prix Mornay, which is a 2-year-old race, was won by Earthite, Godolphin, Andre Fabre and Marcel Barcelona, and that's by Charmadol, which is
He's always been a good stallion.
Second, Mark Johnson ran second. So
Yeah, he's got a good string.
South African connections, Marmello, he won the Group 2. He's by Duke of Marmalade. Marmalade,
Okay, that's
a very,
fantastic.
very good
Wonder
stayer.
What
this
country
horse.
is?
In France. He's trained by Hughie Morrison in England.
Yes.
And ridden by Christophe Simeon. And he won a really gutsy race. He's a real tough, good horse, this horse, Marmello. And he's keeping Duke of Marmalade's name going in Europe, because
Yeah,
he's still
Duke of
there.
Marmalade's got some good horses here too.
Yeah.
That's very, very interesting, eh? Sure.
That's the story. I've got no more news.
No,
Is there
just
anything that you've got
pleased to
there?
see that the 2-year-old sale in Joburg held its ground.
Oh, it certainly did.
You know, there's people out there still buying money, good horses you have to pay for.
Yeah.
But not ridiculous prices. You paid 700-800 grand for a top horse 5 years ago, they're 1.5.
What's the latest about the stakes? I hear there's big rumors in Johannesburg when I was there about stakes getting reduced. Do you know anything about that?
No, James, what it is, it's that they're still putting together a subcommittee. I read the article that Savage put out, and they're finalising that nationwide a subcommittee to look at everything. So to preempt anything now would be wrong. And Pumelele, I believe, do their stakes the 1st of January.
Okay.
And if there's going to be a stake, they'll look at the system, and then on 1st of January they'll decide whether they have to cut, they have to trim, they have to do anything. You know, there's
what's the story on Kimberley?
No call yet. No call yet. You know,
Okay.
It's just at the stage, Jim, where they have to get these subcommittees and see where the money's going to come from.
I'm glad we got you on this show because you've got inside information.
I sit on the board, James,
Yeah,
but again,
that's
when you
right.
sit on the board,
inside information.
you got a non-disclosure agreement too.
So stick with that.
Yeah, I'll stick with what I read in the Racing Post.
Okay, 100%. Well, there you go. We're going to take a break and we'll be back with Bradford Smith from Qatar. Well, we find guests from far afield and nearby at home. And this week and next week, we're going to do a two-part series on a guy a lot of you will not know, because if you have been in racing 20 years or less, you will never have heard of Bradford Smith. I've been fortunate to be involved with Bradford for many, many years before the time that he left here. And we're going to have a very interesting interview with him because he is now, and has been for the last 20 years, the racecourse manager at Qatar Racecourse. And he's built that from scratch. So we're going to talk to him about that. And he's here on holiday because they're not racing at the moment. And Brad, nice to have you in the studio.
Thank you very much.
Okay, let's go back to the beginning. You were a jockey.
Yes.
You had a twin brother who's infamous, Chad. Let's get him out the way.
Yeah.
What did he do?
He ended up going into the shop fitting business after his license was taken away.
Yeah, why was his license taken away?
Well, he held on to John Gorton's saddle in one of the big races at Newmarket, and he got caught and he got warned off for life.
Why did he say that he held on to the saddle?
You know, there wasn't any reason. We used to do it when we used to go ride in Bloemfontein, because with all the dust nobody could see us, so we used to tow the line with horses just as they come past, hold the saddle cloth and let them pull us for a few meters. And I think it was just at the spur of the moment.
Yeah, and didn't someone split on him? I think one of the other jockeys told
I think
him.
it was George Davies.
Not Earl Buckham?
No, I think it was George Davies, if I can remember correctly.
That has to be
anyway,
an Australian. Yeah.
When he stopped riding, he went into the trade as a maintenance fitter, who I followed suit. When I got too heavy, I also went and done a trade as a maintenance fitter at a company called H.H. Robertson. And just after I qualified, James, yourself and Charles Ellis approached me to ask me if I would start the tracks at Rijksfontein. Well, my biggest worry was that I knew nothing about tracks. I knew how they should feel if I rode them, but I knew nothing.
We knew that you knew nothing. But the point was, let's just go back to your riding career, because I want to talk a bit about it. Because you were an apprentice. When did you get to the academy?
1968.
68. And do you know any of the guys that were your intake? Do you keep in touch with any of those guys?
I don't keep in touch with any of the people in racing, funny enough, since I left South Africa. There were a lot of good jockeys, Mace, Garth Puller, Harold Crawford, a lot of good boys that rode with us. Fortunately, in my era, a lot of the people that started with me, I think most of them are dead now.
That's what happens to all of us, doesn't it?
Mark Cavey, Willem Ferreira, Charles Toby van Boom, I think they've all passed away somewhere down the line, if I read correctly. Because
who were you apprenticed to?
Who?
You. Who was your boss?
I actually started off, my actual boss was Lenny Howe.
At Turfentine?
Yes, but I actually rode for an owner which was called Mr. Levine. He owned a very good horse called Jewel.
Jewel, yes.
That ran in the July handicap.
Ran fourth in the July.
I actually got warned off for 2 months because I pulled up Jewel in a 5 furlong race at Turfentine. Got beat a short head second, and they warned me off for 2 months.
Were you told to pull it up?
Well, we don't pull up horses. We just give them an easy run.
You just were told that the instructions were not to beat him about.
Yeah. So anyway,
how things have changed.
I worked with them for about a year, and then Mr. Levine died, and Lenny Howe was too old, and then I was sent to Michael Roberts.
At Turfentine as well?
Yes.
The late Michael Roberts?
Yes, the late Michael. I stayed there for about a year, and the Jockey Academy took me away from him because they ill-treated me. And then I ended up with Mr. Roy Howe, which I believe was one of the greatest trainers I've ever ridden for.
He was a great trainer, wasn't he?
And I still keep in contact with Mrs. Howe. She's still alive. She's 99 years old.
Oh, that's fantastic. Does she still live out there at Midrand?
No, she's been in England for the last 30 years.
Oh, is that
She's
so?
in an old age home now, so I still keep in contact with
That's
her.
fantastic.
And
he was a top trainer, wasn't he, Roy Howe? A great.
you know, he never had as many winners as anybody else, but his strike rate was phenomenal.
Mm.
You know, whatever he put his money down, I'd say 98% won. He never missed.
Yeah.
And I mean, everything was run to the book. He'd done his own bloods every day. Every horse that trained from a canter to a gallop was clocked every day. You know, he had his little towers that. And I always thought he was meticulous in the way he ran his business.
He ended up at Reinkersfontein with us?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, he ended up at Reinkersfontein.
He
got a bit old. Then
Yeah.
I think he done fairly well.
Oh. So then, okay, you had a pretty good career as a jockey. You rode some nice horses?
Yes, I rode a lot of good horses.
Phantom Moles and horses like that,
Yeah.
or were they that type of era?
I mean, I think the biggest race I ever won was for Royal. I think it was I can't even remember the handicap, and I won the 2-year-old sprint on Maharaja. I won the fillies race on a horse for, what is it now? I can't even remember the names. It's been so long. No, I rode a lot of winners. I mean, I was always.
You know who Maharaja was?
Yes, trained by Derek Weed.
Yeah, Derek Weed. We bred him. My mother bred him.
A man that gave me a lot of headaches when he took over Pumalela.
Why did he give you headaches?
Well, he wanted to do everything his way. I can remember when I first started riding for him for Brian. They trained on a farm in Mayerton, and I used to go out on the track there. And I think in the 2 years I rode for him, I rode more winners for him than he had in his whole career.
Yeah.
But for some unknown reason, when he became the CEO of Pumalela, he was on my back. He eventually decided now he was going to send me to Kimberley for 3 weeks to get rid of me. He did. He sent me to Kimberley.
Yeah, well, things changed since then. Okay, so you had this career as a jockey, and you were pretty successful, and you rode a lot of winners, and you were well respected as a jockey. Now suddenly you get too heavy.
Yeah.
You know, that's basically what it was, wasn't it?
Yep.
How's your weight now?
I'm 68 kilos.
68. Well, you're still light.
Well, I'm not heavy. You know, and one of the greatest things was my father. When we first went to do the test to become jockeys, we had never ridden a horse, we had never seen a horse, and he had friends that gambled, so they said to my father, send him to the academy. And we went for the test, and they said to my brother and myself, we're not going to last 2 years, we're going to be too big. But anyway, I lasted 12 years, he lasted 10 years, but he said, when you finished and you start getting heavier, you both go do a trade. So when you finish riding work, you go do your trade. So we both took up a trade as a maintenance fitter. And when I qualified, I stopped racing altogether. And it wasn't long after that I moved to Reinkersfontein.
Yeah, okay, well, let's talk through Reinkersfontein, because obviously I was instrumental in that start. And it was something that I started, and we took a chance with you, but I'd known you for many, many years, and you're a man of integrity. I think that's one of your great fortes, Brad, is that you say what you think.
Yeah.
You don't suffer fools gladly. And it stood you in good stead, because we had a wonderful relationship with Reinkersfontein.
Yeah.
You must be very proud of what you built there.
I did.
Yeah. So where did it start? You started with us we had a sand track in the bush, I think.
Yeah,
That's
well,
where
what
we
happened is
started.
when you and Charles Ellis approached me, I looked at a side that I could work and develop racetracks, and I thought my biggest advantage was that I knew all the track managers. I knew Don Borchard, Stan Dees, and all these people. And I thought, well, if I took a job at Rijksfontein, I could go ask them. And unfortunately, when I approached them, they said, because I worked for a private company,
which we were then, yeah,
they were not allowed to talk to me. So this is where I started. They weren't allowed to talk to me, so I couldn't get anything out of them. The sand track wasn't that difficult, because we started off with a normal sand track with a bit of river sand on, the machines were okay. The problem I had was when it came to the turf, because I had no experience in grass at all, chemicals, fertilizers, whatever happened. And I met a professor at the university called Theo van Rooyen. He was a professor at the Pretoria, and he was the person that taught me all about soil sciences and everything, and he actually taught me just about everything I know today. The balance that I've learned that have made me a lot more knowledgeable is moving overseas, where I worked under difficult climatic conditions, different surfaces, different grass, winter, summer, we change, whereas we think everything's easy. Well, we think it's hard.
It's easy compared to what you're with now.
You know, no, we thought we knew everything, yeah. We thought we were good, but you only realize when you travel overseas and you look at the different surfaces and how people come and trust. They want to sell your surface and they tell you what, like the poly tracks and the eco tracks, you don't need water, you don't have to do this. And you know, the tracks are developed in European countries. They are not the same conditions, climatic conditions as we have here. And I mean, I'm sure you've noticed here, your track, even when you reach 25, 30 degrees, the temperature on the track, the track is actually 15, 20 degrees hotter. Yeah. So it becomes sticky and it melts and you got to water it. And you know, they sell you a product without actually sending the track manager to go see how the facility works. I mean, we have the Asian Racing Conference. Racing has the Asian Racing Conference every year. And I don't think, correct me if I'm wrong, if any track manager has actually been to an Asian Racing Conference to look at the different surfaces. I don't know, because I don't work here. I don't go because my bosses don't allow me out the country.
Yeah, why don't they allow you out the country?
Well, when I first went to Qatar, we had a French company that had built the tracks in Abu Dhabi and Dubai, and then they had to build these tracks, and I got offered a job there when they started, and we used to go to meetings every Monday morning, and we'd sit down and we'd discuss this, and they would say, well, we've built this far and we've done this. And I always thought that they were wrong. And eventually the CEO of racing said to me, I don't know anything what I'm talking about. I'm not allowed at the meeting. So the racing manager that employed me I said to him, Sammy, why don't we go to Dubai and Abu Dhabi and let's speak to the sheikhs there and see what they said. Well, I had a long chat for about 4 hours, 5 hours, and they offered me the job there, so my boss flew me out of the country.
Yeah.
Because Dubai
offered you the job.
Abu Dhabi offered me the job.
But you had now already been approached by Qatar to run their business.
Yeah.
So now the Dubai thought, well, this guy we'll grab and we'll see how he goes.
I didn't like Dubai, which was a blessing. I liked Abu Dhabi, but I don't like Dubai. It's just too big for me.
Yeah.
And I don't know, there's something that doesn't attract me to Dubai. I'd live in Abu Dhabi, but I wouldn't live in.
Let's go back to Rijksfontein, because what I want to talk to you about is what people don't realize. It was a mealie field, basically, when we started.
Yeah, it was.
You know. And you had a lot to do with the whole design, the whole setup, and you've been back. What do you think now of Rijksfontein? And you can be honest, okay?
Okay, to be honest, I was actually shocked at what I saw in October. You know, it wasn't the place that I'd left behind. You know, I've always believed that, okay, racing is a visual thing on your tracks there, but I think where you're stable and when you think you've got the likes of the top trainers in South Africa at Rijksfontein, I think, I must say I was horrified. I don't think it's maintained well. I don't know about the stables, I didn't go in. But I mean, you know, we as track managers...
It's the middle of winter though.
Hey?
Oh, you went in October, didn't you?
Yeah, I went in October.
Yeah.
I came to see my mother because she wasn't well. So I stopped at Rijksfontein and I stopped at Summerveld and I saw 1 or 2 tracks. I like to go to all the different tracks and just find and feel feel the surface myself. I don't like to talk too much because I find a lot of the track managers have different opinions, and I think a lot of them have been trained by their predecessors. If I go back into racing 40 years ago, and I think the man's name was Clark, that was a Turfin team, when he was ready to retire, he took Don Borchert, which we worked in the workshops, trained Don Borchert to do his job. When Don Borchert was ready to move on, he took the horticulture, Stan Diesel, and he trained him to do the... So they've never actually, to me, this is my opinion, I don't think we've actually progressed.
Yeah.
We've just done what our predecessors have done.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's the same, but that was the opinion I had when I left here.
Yeah. It seems to be the same countrywide.
You know,
do you know Eddie Luff? He was
Yes, I know Eddie.
He was a very good track manager, Eddie. He would have started like you from the bottom. Didn't he?
Eddie was also, he also was a jockey, but he was very clued up on the chemical side because they had a lot of problems with the funguses and diseases being on the coast. So he was very clued up on the turf side and the technical side and all the... But I don't know if, I don't know if the track managers have improved. I don't know if the track managers improved on the actual training facility side. On the sand tracks, look, everybody seems to progress on the turf side. But I don't think we've improved the way we maintain our sand tracks.
Yeah.
Everybody seems to think, well, when the tracks, what you call it, it feels dead. They just seem to add a bit of soil on top.
Yeah.
But I don't see people actually mixing their tracks. I mix my tracks 400 millimeters deep every week.
Yeah.
And you've got to bring all the good material to the top because the more the horses gallop, the more they break down the soils. So you got to mix it all the time. And something that I haven't noticed that they do here.
Okay, so you got your chance to go to Qatar because of the Asian Racing Conference.
Yes.
How did that come about?
They had the Racing Asian Conference in South Africa. I never knew about it, but apparently Sammy Jassam, who was the racing manager, had travelled to Turffontein and Cape Town and Randfontein, and he liked what he saw at Randfontein. And 2 years later, they had the Racing Asian Conference in Singapore, and they were going to start their track, and Sammy met Patrick Shaw.
Yeah.
And he said to Patrick Shaw, do you know Bradford? The one that, he says, yes, I'm very good friends with Bradford. He's run it for 20 years.
Pat was at Randfontein.
Yeah, so anyway, Sammy phoned me and he said, are you interested in a job in Qatar? I said, well, I don't even know where that is, but I'm going on holiday for a month. He said, well, we've got 20 interviews in Singapore. I got back from holiday and I had the job. No interview, nothing. So I said to my wife, very small country, we don't know if they've got schools there. I'll fly over to Qatar and have a look. And there was nothing. I think there were 2 schools and about 400,000 people. So anyway, we managed to get a school for the kids, not for the first time. They lost 6 months schooling. And it looked good to me. And another thing, the political situation actually made me actually leave, because I can remember when Phumelela took over Randfontein and Nelson Mandela came into power, the blacks started squatting on the property next door, and I was asked to get the Red Ants to move them, and 3 days later they were all standing on the road with the assegais going to my house. And it wasn't long after that I got the call, so we made a decision, it's time to leave.
Okay, so you upped the whole business and you left.
Yeah.
But let's just go back in your life and see, because we'll talk about that in the next part of this thing, about Qatar and where that brought you and what happened. Yeah. If you look back at your life, Brad, it's obviously been a life that's very fulfilling, and you've learnt an enormous amount about what you do, which is managing cracks.
Yeah.
Could you ever see yourself there? Was it ever going to be there?
I actually never thought I thought I'd end up as a jockey, finish my trade and be a fitter and turner for the rest of my life.
And Patrick Ford's a great mate of yours?
Yes, Patrick worked for me. I think he worked at Randfontein in the maintenance division. He worked under me. And I think he left, and then Brian de Villiers took over the job.
Yeah, you knew them both very well.
Yeah, we were very good friends with Patrick.
Okay, so now you're up And off to Qatar. There's nothing there.
Yeah,
Absolutely nothing.
just the desert.
Okay. Well, you know what? We're going to put up a picture and show them what you did to start, because then we're going to call it a day and we'll talk about how you developed it. Okay. Let's see what that's the race course now. There were other pictures that you put that we sent you, which were the earthworks at the beginning.
Yeah.
I wonder if they've got those. Was that when you were laying the track?
What we've done is this year we built a new a far bend.
Yeah.
So we started work on the far bend, which we took about 2 months to do the landscaping and the rails and the everything, and then we started planting grass a month ago. How we plant grass here is we use verticutters. We cut the roots out and we just lay it on the sand and we stamp it in with a blade and we roll it, and within 4 weeks you got grass 2 inches long.
And that's how essentially you started at Qatar.
It's exactly how we started at Qatar. The same system was applied.
Yeah.
One of the things that they did build, which was not necessary in Qatar, was all these blanket drainage systems.
Yes. What happens when it rains there?
Well, the maximum amount of rain we'll get in a year is maybe 15 millimeters.
Yeah.
And if it does rain and you'll get 15 millimeters, you'll get 5 millimeters of rain at a time.
Yeah.
So everything drains quite well.
Yeah, well, what they're doing is showing a picture now of the sand track, and is that the sand track? Obviously, that's
yes,
the sand
this
track.
is a sand track.
But I want to talk about this once we've seen the initial pictures where you started with a whole lot. So, let's come back to all of this next week in the show,
Okay.
and we'll chat about exactly what happened and where you started,
Okay.
and what happened with how it looked when you started and how it looks today, because it's very interesting. It's a phenomenal progression in 20 years.
Yeah.
You must be very proud of it.
James, I'm always proud of what I achieve.
Yeah.
And to achieve new goals as we get older is more of an achievement, because sometimes we think, well, we know too much and that's all we need to know. Yeah. I always want to go out there and better myself, and I can always learn. I don't know enough and I'd like to learn more.
Well, you've been an inspiration, and we'll be back with Bradford next week to chat about how he set up Qatar, and when you see what he started with, you will not believe it. It's just absolutely phenomenal. Until next week, have a great week's racing.